Katie Morrison sat in the corner of the cold metal cell, holding her injured leg close to her chest. The 13-year-old girl tried not to cry as pain shot through her broken bone. Everything had gone wrong so fast. One moment she was exploring the purple forests of Zerion 7 with her family, and the next moment their shuttle was crashing through. The thick alien trees, the blue-skinned creatures who found them were nothing like the friendly aliens in the movies back on Earth. These beings called themselves Zephyrians, and they looked at humans like they were looking at insects. Their large black eyes held no kindness, only cold interest and something that looked like disgust. "Look at this pathetic creature," said one of the aliens in perfect English. His voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. "It bleeds red liquid just like the animals on our homeworld." Katie pulled her torn jacket tighter around herself. The aliens had taken her boots and her communication device. Her leg throbbed where a piece of the shuttle had pinned her during the crash. She could see bone through the torn skin, and the sight made her feel sick. "Where are my father and brother?" she asked, trying to sound braver than she felt. The alien who had spoken laughed. It was an awful sound, like breaking glass. "The older humans are in other cages. Do not worry, little animal. You will see them again before you die." Katie's heart raced. She knew her father, Jake Morrison, was somewhere on this ship. He was the captain of their exploration vessel, strong and smart and always able to fix any problem. Her 17-year-old brother Alex was probably trying to find a way to escape right now. Alex was good with computers and machines. He would think of something, but as hours passed in the dim cell, Katie began to lose hope. The aliens brought her water that tasted like metal and food that looked like gray paste. They spoke about her in their own language, pointing and making sounds that might have been laughter. Commander Valix came to see her on the second day. He was taller than the other Zephyrians, with silver markings on his blue skin that showed his high rank. His black eyes studied Katie like she was an interesting rock he had found. "Tell me, human child," he said. "What makes your species think you deserve to join the Galactic Council?" Katie lifted her chin. "We're explorers. We want to learn and make friends with other worlds." Valix made that glass-breaking laugh again. "Friends? You are primitive apes who barely learned to leave your own planet. Your technology is thousands of years behind ours. Your bodies are weak and break easily." He pointed at her injured leg. "You have no telepathy, no advanced healing, no energy weapons. What could you possibly offer the galaxy?" "We don't give up," Katie said quietly. "Humans never give up." "How amusing," Valix said. "We shall see how long that spirit lasts." The next day brought terrible news. Katie could hear her father shouting from somewhere else on the ship. His voice was full of anger and fear. She pressed her ear against the metal wall and caught pieces of what the aliens were saying to each other. They were talking about a dragon, a huge creature that lived in the crystal caves deep under the planet's surface. This dragon had been attacking their mining operations, destroying their machines and killing their workers. The Zephyrians had tried everything to stop it, but nothing worked. "We need to give it what it wants," she heard one alien say. "A sacrifice to appease its hunger." "But what should we offer?" asked another voice. "The human child," came Valix's cold reply. "She is worthless to us anyway. Perhaps the dragon will be satisfied with such a gift and leave our operations alone." Katie's blood turned to ice. They were going to feed her to some monster. She thought about trying to break out of the cell, but her leg was too badly hurt. She thought about calling for help, but who would hear her in the empty space between the stars? When the aliens came for her the next morning, Katie tried to run. She made it 3 steps before her broken leg gave out and she crashed to the floor. The Zephyrians laughed as they picked her up. "Look how the little animal struggles," one of them said. "It thinks it can escape." They carried her through the ship's corridors. Katie saw other cells as they passed, and in one of them she spotted her father and brother. Jake Morrison's face was bruised and Alex had a cut on his forehead, but they were alive. "Katie!" her father shouted when he saw her. He grabbed the bars of his cell and shook them. "Let her go. Take me instead. Dad!" Katie cried out, reaching toward him. But the aliens holding her just walked faster. "The human parent offers itself instead," Valix said with amusement. "How touching. But the dragon prefers young meat, and this broken little creature will do perfectly." Alex pressed his face against the bars. "We'll find you, Katie. We'll get out of here and find you. I know you will," Katie called back, even though she didn't really believe it anymore. The aliens carried her around a corner and she lost sight of her family. They put her in a small transport ship that smelled like rotting flowers. Through the window, Katie could see the planet Zerion 7 growing larger as they flew down toward its surface. The world was beautiful in a strange way, with purple forests and silver rivers and mountains that looked like they were made of glass. But Katie knew she was flying toward her death. The aliens talked and laughed as they piloted the ship, making jokes about how quickly the dragon would eat her. They seemed to think this was all very funny. As the transport ship entered the planet's atmosphere, Katie closed her eyes and thought about Earth. She remembered green grass and blue skies and her mother's smile. She thought about her dog Max and her best friend Lisa, and all the things she would never see again. The ship landed with a bump that made her injured legs scream with pain. Through the window, Katie could see they were in some kind of crystal cave. Strange formations of purple and silver crystal grew from the walls like frozen trees. Deep in the darkness, something large was moving. The dragon was waiting for her. The Zephyrians dragged Katie out of the transport ship and into the crystal cave. Her broken leg left a trail of blood on the smooth stone floor. The aliens seemed excited now, chattering in their own language and pointing deeper into the cavern where shadows moved in the distance. The cave was like nothing Katie had ever seen. Huge crystals grew everywhere, some as tall as buildings back on Earth. They glowed with their own inner light, casting rainbow patterns on the walls. The air felt thick and warm, and Katie could hear water dripping somewhere in the darkness. "Magnificent, is it not?" Commander Valix said as he walked beside her. "This cave system goes down for miles. The dragon has lived here for thousands of years, long before we came to mine this planet." Katie said nothing. She was trying to save her strength and think of a way to escape. But with 4 strong aliens holding her and her leg badly injured, she knew it was hopeless. They walked deeper into the cave, following a path between the crystal formations. Katie noticed strange markings carved into some of the crystals, symbols that looked almost like writing. She wondered who had made them and how long ago. After what felt like hours, they reached a huge chamber. The ceiling was so high that Katie couldn't see it in the dim crystal light. In the center of the chamber stood an ancient stone altar, covered with more of those strange symbols. "Here we are," Valix announced. "The dragon's feeding chamber." The aliens lifted Katie onto the altar and chained her wrists and ankles with metal bands. The stone was cold against her back and the chains were heavy. She pulled against them, but they didn't budge. "Please," Katie said, looking up at Valix. "I'm just a kid. I never did anything to hurt you." "You exist," Valix replied. "Your species dares to think it belongs among the stars. That is offense enough." The other aliens were setting up some kind of recording equipment on the far side of the chamber. Katie realized they wanted to watch her die. They were going to film it and probably show it to other aliens as entertainment. "How does it feel, little human?" asked one of the aliens. "To know that you will be remembered only as dragon food." "I feel sorry for you," Katie said quietly. The alien looked surprised. "Sorry for us? We are the superior beings here. We have advanced technology and powerful minds. What could a primitive creature like you understand about us?" "I understand that you're scared," Katie said. "You're so scared of this dragon that you're willing to murder a child to make it go away. That's not superior. That's just sad." Valix's black eyes narrowed. Silence. "The dragon comes." Katie felt it before she heard it. The ground began to shake, making the crystals around the chamber ring like bells. Dust fell from the invisible ceiling high above. The aliens backed away from the altar, their recording devices ready. Then she heard the footsteps. Each one sounded like thunder, shaking the entire cave. The crystals grew brighter, as if they were responding to something approaching. Katie's heart hammered in her chest, but she forced herself to stay calm. She wouldn't give these aliens the satisfaction of seeing her panic. A shape moved in the darkness at the far end of the chamber. It was huge, bigger than anything Katie had imagined. As it stepped into the crystal light, she saw the dragon for the first time. It was beautiful and terrible at the same time. The creature was made of living crystal that caught and reflected the light from the cave walls. Its body was long and serpentine, easily 300 feet from nose to tail. Crystal spines ran along its back, and its wings were like stained glass windows shot through with silver veins. But it was the dragon's eyes that made Katie catch her breath. They were not the savage, mindless eyes of a beast. They were ancient and intelligent, full of wisdom and something that looked like sadness. The dragon approached the altar slowly, its crystal claws clicking on the stone floor. The aliens muttered excitedly, filming everything. Valix was grinning with cruel pleasure. "Feast well, great dragon," Valix called out. "We offer you this human sacrifice in exchange for peace." The dragon stopped a few feet from the altar. Its massive head lowered until it was level with Katie's face. She could feel its breath, warm and smelling like starlight. Those ancient eyes studied her carefully. Katie met the dragon's gaze without flinching. "Hello," she said softly. The dragon's eyes widened slightly. It tilted its head like it was surprised to be greeted instead of feared. "Such unusual courage for one so young," the dragon said. Katie gasped. The creature had spoken, its voice like wind through cosmic space. Behind her, she heard the aliens crying out in shock. "You can talk," Katie whispered. "I can do many things, child of Terra," the dragon replied. "The question is, what can you do?" Before Katie could answer, Valix stepped forward. "Great dragon, we have brought you this offering as agreed. Take it and leave our mining operations in peace." The dragon's head swung toward the Zephyrian commander. When it spoke again, its voice was cold as the space between stars. "Agreed. I made no agreement with you, small blue fool. I attacked your machines because you poison this world with your greed. I destroyed your workers because they showed no respect for the ancient places you defile." Valix backed away, his confident smile fading. But you must be hungry. All beasts hunger. Beast." The dragon's crystal spines flared with sudden light. "You dare call me beast?" The temperature in the chamber dropped 10 degrees. Ice began forming on the crystal walls. The aliens huddled together, their recording equipment forgotten. The dragon turned back to Katie, and its voice became gentle again. "Tell me, young one, why do these fools believe I would devour an innocent child?" Katie looked into those ancient eyes and saw something there that gave her hope. "Because they don't understand what you really are," she said. "They think everything different from them must be dangerous or stupid." "Wise words," the dragon said. "And what do you think I am?" Katie studied the magnificent creature before her. She saw the intelligence in its eyes, the careful way it moved to avoid crushing the smaller crystals around them, the sadness that seemed to follow it like a shadow. "I think you're lonely," she said finally. "I think you've been waiting for someone who could see you for what you really are instead of what they're afraid you might be." The dragon was quiet for a long moment. Then slowly it began to smile. "Child of Terra," it said, "you are far more than these fools could ever comprehend." The dragon reached out with one crystal claw and touched Katie's forehead. The moment they made contact, the world exploded into light. Light poured through Katie's mind like liquid starfire. For a moment that felt like forever. She was everywhere and nowhere at once. She could feel the dragon's ancient consciousness touching hers, sharing memories that stretched back millions of years. When the light faded, Katie found herself sitting up on the altar. Her chains had simply dissolved into dust. More importantly, her broken leg was completely healed. She flexed her ankle in amazement, feeling no pain at all. The dragon stepped back, its crystal eyes glowing with warm light. "Better?" it asked. Katie jumped down from the altar and landed easily on both feet. "How did you do that?" "The same way I will do this," the dragon said. It touched her forehead again, but this time there was no blinding light. Instead, Katie felt knowledge flowing into her mind like water into a cup. She learned that the dragon's name was Luminara, and it was not really a dragon at all. It was something far older and more powerful, a guardian left behind by an ancient race called the Founders, who had seeded the galaxy with life billions of years ago. "Your species," Luminara explained, "carries the genetic memory of the Founders within your DNA. Most races in the galaxy have lost this connection over time, but humans still retain it. You are the descendants of those who created all life among the stars." Katie felt her mind expanding, new understanding rushing through her thoughts. She could suddenly sense things she had never noticed before. She could feel the life force of every crystal in the cave, the slow heartbeat of the planet itself, and even the confused terror of the aliens watching from across the chamber. "Why are you telling me this?" Katie asked. "Because the time has come for humanity to awaken," Luminara said. "The Founders left instructions within your genetic code, waiting for the moment when your species would be ready to claim their inheritance. That moment is now." Behind them, Commander Valix found his voice. "What is happening here? Dragons do not speak with their food." Luminara turned toward the aliens, and Katie felt a wave of power flow from the ancient guardian. It was not threatening, but it was unmistakably vast, like standing next to an ocean and feeling the weight of all that water. "I am not a dragon, little fool," Luminara said. "I am a founder construct, left behind to guide the next generation of cosmic gardeners. Your kind reached their technological peak long ago and stopped growing, but these humans still carry the spark of unlimited potential." Katie could feel that potential now, burning like a small sun in her chest. It was connected to every human alive, a network of sleeping power that stretched across the galaxy to Earth and beyond. "What does this mean?" she asked. "It means you can do anything," Luminara said. "Watch." The Guardian showed Katie how to reach out with her mind and touch the fundamental forces of the universe. Katie gasped as she realized she could sense the atomic structure of everything around her. The stone altar, the metal chains, even the air itself. All of it was just energy arranged in different patterns, and she could rearrange those patterns if she chose to. She tried a small experiment first. Katie focused on a piece of broken crystal lying near the altar and thought about changing its shape. The crystal began to glow and slowly reformed itself into a perfect sphere. "Incredible," she whispered. "That is nothing," Luminara said. "Feel for your family." Katie closed her eyes and reached out with her new awareness. Instantly, she could sense her father and brother trapped in their cell aboard the Zephyrian ship high above. They were scared but unhurt, and they were trying to find a way to escape. Without thinking, Katie reached out with her power and simply unlocked their cell door. She felt their surprise and joy as they realized they were free. Then she did something even more amazing. She spoke directly into their minds. "Dad, Alex, it's me," she said telepathically. "I'm okay. Get to the shuttle bay and steal one of their ships. I'll guide you." She felt her father's shock at hearing her voice in his head. "Katie, how is this possible?" "I'll explain later. Just trust me and run." Katie opened her eyes to find the aliens staring at her in growing panic. They had seen the crystal change shape and they could sense the power radiating from her small human form. "Impossible," Valix whispered. "Humans have no telepathic abilities. You are just primitive animals." "We're much more than that," Katie said calmly. She stood and walked toward the aliens, who backed away from her. "We're what you used to be before you stopped growing." To demonstrate, Katie reached out with her mind and began to repair the damage the Zephyrians had done to the planet. She could sense their mining operations scattered across the surface, ugly scars that leaked poison into the soil and water. With a thought, she began to heal those wounds. The aliens' recording equipment started showing images from the surface as dead forests began to bloom again. Polluted rivers ran clear. Entire ecosystems that had been destroyed came back to life in moments. "How?" one of the aliens gasped. "I'm thinking about how things should be instead of how they are," Katie explained. "Your species lost the ability to imagine things being different. That's why you stopped evolving." Luminara moved to stand beside Katie, its ancient presence warm and comforting. "The child speaks truth. Your people reached technological advancement, but lost the drive to become more than what you are. Humans still dream of impossible things, and that dreaming gives them power to make the impossible real." Katie could feel her abilities growing stronger by the moment. The genetic memories were unlocking themselves, showing her technologies and powers that the founders had built into human DNA. She saw how to manipulate space and time, how to heal any injury or disease, how to travel between stars without ships. But more than that, she felt connected to every human alive. She could sense her species as a vast sleeping network of potential, waiting to be awakened. Katie realized that what was happening to her could happen to all of them. "The awakening begins with you," Luminara said, reading her thoughts. "You will be the first of many." Katie nodded, understanding her purpose now. She turned back to the terrified aliens. "I could destroy you for what you tried to do to me," she said quietly. "I could turn your ship into dust or throw it into the nearest star. But I won't, because that's not what humans do." She gestured, and the aliens' broken mining equipment on the surface began to repair itself. But now it worked in harmony with the planet instead of destroying it. "I'm giving you a gift," Katie continued. "Your operations will be more efficient than ever, but they won't harm this world anymore. Take this knowledge back to your people. Tell them that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars." Commander Valek stared at her with something approaching religious awe. What are you?" Katie smiled, feeling the power of her awakened heritage flowing through her like cosmic fire. "I'm human," she said simply, "and that's everything." Katie reached out with her mind and felt her father and brother making their way through the Zephyrian ship. They had found the shuttle bay, but armed guards were blocking their escape route. She could sense their fear and determination as they hid behind a stack of cargo containers. "Let me help them," Katie said to Luminara. The ancient guardian nodded. "Show these aliens what human compassion looks like." Katie closed her eyes and extended her consciousness across the space between the planet and the ship. The guards blocking her family's escape suddenly found their weapons turning to harmless dust in their hands. Their armor became too heavy to move in, forcing them to remove it. But Katie was careful not to hurt them. She just made it impossible for them to fight. "Go now," she whispered into her father's mind. "The path is clear." Through her connection with them, Katie felt her father and brother running toward the shuttle. Jake Morrison was a good pilot, and Alex knew alien computer systems better than most adults. They would make it to safety, but first Katie had to deal with the aliens here in the cave. Commander Valix was speaking rapidly into a communication device, reporting to his superiors about what he had witnessed. Katie could hear both sides of the conversation through her enhanced senses. "You claim the human child has developed impossible abilities," came a voice from the device. "I am watching her repair our mining equipment from hundreds of miles away," Valix replied. She healed herself and spoke with the dragon. "No, not a dragon. Some kind of ancient construct that claims humans are descended from the race that created all life. Impossible. Humans barely qualify as sentient. Their technology is primitive, their lifespan short, their bodies weak." Katie stepped forward and took the communication device from Valix's trembling hand. She spoke directly to whoever was on the other end. "My name is Katie Morrison," she said calmly. "I'm 13 years old and I'm from Earth. Your commander tried to feed me to what you thought was a monster because you believed I was worthless. Would you like to reconsider that assessment?" There was silence from the device for several seconds. "Then who is this? How did you acquire this communication channel?" "I told you who I am," Katie replied. "The question is, who are you? And are you ready to learn why your species has stopped growing?" Katie reached through the communication signal itself, following it back to its source. Her consciousness touched the mind of the alien on the other end, someone called High Commander Zefek, leader of the entire Zephyrian fleet. Through that contact, Katie saw the truth about the aliens who had captured her family. The Zephyrians had indeed reached their technological peak thousands of years ago. Since then, they had simply maintained their existing knowledge without advancing. They had become a species of maintainers rather than creators. "You're afraid," Katie said, her voice carrying across the communication channel to every Zephyrian ship in the system. "You're afraid that if you try to grow beyond what you are, you might fail. So you stay safe and small and tell yourselves that you're superior to anyone who still dares to dream." She shared with them a vision of human history. Species that had climbed down from trees and learned to make fire, who had sailed across unknown oceans and flown to the moon, who had built machines that could think and learned to heal diseases that once killed millions. "Humans never stop trying to become more than they are," Katie continued. "That's why we still carry the founder genetic code while you've lost yours. Evolution isn't just about biology. It's about the willingness to keep changing, keep growing, keep reaching for impossible things." High Commander Zefek's voice came through the device, and Katie could hear the uncertainty in it. "If what you claim is true, then we have made a grave error." "Yes, you have," Katie agreed. "But errors can be corrected." She turned to Commander Valix, who was staring at her with wide black eyes. "Your mining operations were destroying this planet because you never thought to ask if there was a better way. Let me show you what's possible when you're not afraid to try new things." Katie reached out with her power and began to transform the Zephyrian technology across the planet's surface. Their crude mining machines became elegant extractors that worked with the planet's natural systems instead of fighting them. The efficiency increased by 300%, while the environmental damage dropped to 0. The aliens watching her work gasped as their readings showed impossible results. They were getting more resources than ever before while actually healing the damage they had already caused. "How?" one of them whispered. "I imagined something better and then made it real," Katie said. "That's what humans do." She felt her father and brother's shuttle launching from the Zephyrian ship high above. They were safe now, heading down to the planet's surface to find her. But Katie knew they would arrive to find a very different daughter and sister than the one who had been captured. Luminara moved closer to Katie, its crystal form glowing with approval. You understand the lesson well, young Guardian. Guardian? Katie asked. That is what you are now, the ancient construct explained. The first of a new generation of human guardians who will guide your species and others toward their full potential. The Founder's greatest gift was not technology or power. It was the drive to never stop growing. Katie nodded, feeling the weight and joy of that responsibility. She looked at the Zephyrian aliens who had tried to murder her just hours ago. They seemed smaller now. Not because they had shrunk, but because Katie had grown so much larger in spirit and understanding. I could punish you for what you tried to do to me and my family, she said to them, but punishment doesn't help anyone grow. Instead, I'm going to give you a choice, she gestured. And holographic displays appeared in the air around them, showing star charts and technological blueprints that were far beyond current Zephyrian understanding. This is knowledge the Founders left behind, Katie explained. Technologies and sciences that could advance your civilization by thousands of years. I'm offering to share it with you freely and without condition. Commander Valak stared at the displays in amazement. Why would you help us after what we did? Because that's what humans do, Katie said simply. We help others become better than they are, even those who hurt us. She felt her family's shuttle landing outside the cave. In moments, her father and brother would come running in to rescue her, only to discover that she no longer needed rescuing. Katie looked up at Luminara one more time. What happens now? Now you go home, the Guardian replied. You return to Earth and begin the awakening of your species. The galaxy has waited long enough for the Founder's children to claim their inheritance. Katie could feel it happening already. Her connection to other humans was growing stronger, spreading out like ripples across space. Soon others would begin to awaken as she had. The sleeping potential of humanity was stirring. As her father's voice echoed through the cave calling her name, Katie smiled. She was still 13 years old. She still loved her family and missed her dog, back on Earth. But she was also something more now. A bridge between what humanity was and what it could become. The soul-mocking aliens had thrown her to what they thought was a monster. Instead, they had given her the chance to discover that the real monsters were fear and the refusal to grow. Now it was time to go home and show the galaxy what humans could do when they stopped accepting limitations. Jake Morrison ran into the crystal cave with his son Alex close behind him. They had stolen the Zephyrian shuttle and followed Katie's telepathic guidance to this ancient place. Jake expected to find his daughter chained to an altar, probably injured or worse. Instead, he found her standing calmly in the center of the chamber, talking with a creature made of living crystal. Katie, Jake shouted, raising the alien weapon he had taken from a guard. It's okay. Dad? Katie said, turning toward them with a smile that seemed different somehow, older and wiser than it had been just days ago. Luminara is a friend, the crystal being bowed its massive head toward Jake and Alex. Your daughter is remarkable, Captain Morrison. She carries the future of your species within her. Alex stared at the dragon in shock. It talks? She talks, Katie corrected gently. And she's not a dragon. She's a guardian left behind by the race that created all life in the galaxy, the race that we're descended from. Jake lowered his weapon but kept it ready. He had seen too much strangeness in the past few days to dismiss anything as impossible. Are you hurt? He asked Katie. No, I'm healed, she replied, walking toward them without any sign of the broken leg that had been causing her such pain. I'm more than healed. I'm awakened. As Katie approached her family, Jake could see that something fundamental had changed about his daughter. She moved with a new confidence, and there was a light in her eyes that seemed to come from some inner source. When she hugged him, he felt a strange tingling sensation as if electricity was flowing through her skin. What happened to you? Alex whispered. I found out what humans really are, Katie said, and what we can become. She looked back at Commander Valak and the other Zephyrians who were still watching everything with expressions of awe and fear. These aliens tried to sacrifice me because they thought humans were worthless. They were wrong. Jake's anger flared. They did what? It's handled, Dad, Katie said calmly. They've learned their lesson. Haven't you, Commander? Valak nodded quickly. The High Command has ordered all Zephyrian forces to treat humans with the highest respect. We had no idea what your species truly was. Most humans don't know either, Katie said. Yet, but that's about to change. Over the following weeks, word of what happened on Zarian 7 spread across the galaxy faster than light itself. The story seemed impossible at first. A 13-year-old human girl who could manipulate matter with her thoughts, heal any injury, and speak directly into minds across vast distances. But the evidence was overwhelming. The Zephyrians shared their recordings of Katie's transformation and her casual repair of their technology. Other alien species sent investigative teams to Zerion 7 and found a planet that had been completely healed from centuries of mining damage in a single day. The Galactic Council, which had previously rejected Earth's application for membership, suddenly found themselves desperate to establish diplomatic relations with humanity. But Katie was already home on Earth, and she was not interested in meeting with alien politicians. She had more important work to do. In a small laboratory beneath her family's house in Montana, Katie worked with human scientists to understand and replicate what had happened to her. Dr. Helen Martinez, Earth's leading geneticist, ran test after test on Katie's DNA and found impossible things. "Your genetic code is rewriting itself," Dr. Martinez explained to Katie and her parents. "Sequences that were dormant your entire life are now active and spreading to other cells. It's as if your DNA contained a hidden program that's finally been turned on. The founder inheritance," Katie said. "Luminara told me it was built into all human genetic code, just waiting for the right trigger." "And what was the trigger?" Dr. Martinez asked. Katie thought about that moment in the crystal cave when she had looked into Luminara's ancient eyes and seen herself reflected there, not as an inferior being to be mocked, but as the heir to cosmic gardeners who had seeded the galaxy with life. "Believing that I was more than what others said I was," she answered finally. The awakening began slowly at first. Katie would touch someone's hand and feel their dormant genetic code responding to hers. Dr. Martinez was the first, suddenly developing the ability to see and manipulate the molecular structure of living cells. She used this power to cure her own diabetes and then to heal a colleague's cancer. Jake Morrison was next, discovering that he could navigate space without instruments by feeling the gravitational currents between stars. Alex found that he could interface directly with any computer system just by thinking about it. Within 6 months, nearly 1,000 humans had awakened to various degrees. Some developed telepathic abilities. Others could manipulate energy or matter. A few, like Katie, seemed to have access to the full range of founder powers. The alien species of the galaxy watched these developments with growing amazement and concern. The humans who had been dismissed as primitive were rapidly advancing beyond anything seen in millions of years. Earth's technology leaped forward in months what should have taken centuries. But perhaps more disturbing to the established galactic powers was how humans used their new abilities. Instead of conquering or demanding tribute, awakened humans traveled to alien worlds and offered to help solve problems. They healed polluted planets, designed better technologies, and shared their knowledge freely. Katie found herself at the center of it all, serving as an informal ambassador between humanity and the cosmos. When the Galactic Council finally managed to arrange a meeting with Earth's representatives, they insisted that Katie be present. The council meeting took place on the neutral world of Centauri Prime, in a vast chamber that could hold delegates from hundreds of species. Katie walked into that chamber wearing a simple blue dress looking like any other human teenager. But when she spoke, her words carried the weight of ancient wisdom. "Members of the Galactic Council," she began, "you invited us here because you're afraid of what humanity is becoming. You've spent millions of years believing that technological advancement was the highest goal of sentient life. But the founders knew something you've forgotten," she gestured, and holographic images appeared above the assembly. Star charts showing the spread of life across the galaxy, evolutionary trees that connected all sentient species, and finally, the genetic patterns that linked every living thing to the ancient founders. "Evolution never stops," Katie continued. "The moment you decide you've reached the pinnacle of what's possible, you begin to die as a species. Humans never made that decision. We kept dreaming, kept reaching, kept believing we could become more than we were. That's why the founder code remained active in our DNA while it went dormant in yours." An alien delegate from the Arcanian Collective stood up. "What do you want from us, human child?" Katie smiled. "I want you to remember how to dream again. I want you to stop being afraid of growth and change. And I want you to help us heal the galaxy." She showed them images of dead worlds that could be restored, of species that could be guided back from extinction, of technologies that could end scarcity and suffering across the cosmos. The founders didn't create life just to watch it struggle and fight, Katie said. They planted the seeds of unlimited potential in every living thing. Humans are ready to help that potential bloom. The question is, are you ready to grow with us? The silence in the chamber stretched for long minutes. Then one by one, delegates began to stand. The Zephyrians were first, followed by the Centaurians, then the Arcanian Collective, and finally representatives from hundreds of species across the galaxy. They were ready to try again. Ready to dream again. Ready to become more than they had been. Katie looked out at the assembled delegates and felt a warm presence touch her mind. Luminara was still on Zerion 7, but their connection transcended space and time. "Well done, young guardian," the ancient construct whispered across the stars. "The garden grows again." As Katie stood before the Galactic Council, no longer the scared 13-year-old who had been thrown to a dragon, she understood her true purpose. She was not just the first awakened human. She was the seed of a new age, when all the children of the founders would finally claim their inheritance and tend the cosmic garden together. The mocking aliens had tried to destroy her because they feared what they didn't understand. Instead, they had given her the chance to show the galaxy what humans had always known in their hearts, that there are no limits to what you can become if you never stop reaching for the stars.